Hello and welcome back to the Hazzabhajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time for the second installment in the E segment of my football alphabet series. In case you missed it, I profiled recently 5 of the best clubs whose names begin with the letter E. You can check that out, just go on my channel. It's the most recent video that I uploaded before this one. But today we are focusing on 5 of the best players whose primary names or surnames begin with the letter E. Like I always say at the start of every episode, if you want to check out all the other episodes or some of the other episodes to get an idea of what this series is all about, there is a playlist link in the description down below for you to check any of them or all of them out. And whilst you're there, of course, please don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. But without any further ado, here is my Hall of Fame of 5 of the best players whose names, or surnames rather, begin with the letter E. Number 1. Eusébio. If it wasn't for a certain Cristiano Ronaldo, Eusébio would be hands down the greatest Portuguese player of all time, and he certainly stakes the claim of being one of the top 20 players to have ever lived, so he was pretty much nailed on to get us started. Born in 1942 in Mozambique, Eusébio was brought up in crippling poverty, learning to play football barefoot and seeing his father die of tetanus when he was aged just 8. Despite these hardships, he became recognised as a talent almost immediately, scoring 77 goals in just 42 games between the ages of 15 and 18 for Hazzabhajan, winning the Mozambican League title in 1960. He was destined for a move to Portugal, given Mozambique were under Portuguese control at the time, and it looked as though Sporting Club de Portugal would be the ones to sign him, especially since Hazzabhajan was Sporting's feeder club. However, despite his insane form in Mozambique, Sporting only offered him a junior contract with no salary, so their great rivals Benfica sensed an opportunity to swoop in and steal him from under Sporting's noses, as they offered him €2,000 over 3 years. It would be a transfer that changed the landscape of Portuguese football forever. In his first season, Eusébio scored twice in 2 separate cup finals, namely in the Taça de Portugal and in the European Cup final against Real Madrid, as Benfica made it back-to-back European successes under Bela Gutmann, and at the end of 1962, he was voted into second place in Ballon D'Or voting. Quite frankly, Eusébio could do it all. He was strong, able to run 100 meters in 11 seconds, deadly with either foot, and blessed with an innate ability to weave between defenders with consummate ease, making him one of the most fearsome sights for any opponent when he came running at them. Across 14 years with Benfica, he scored 473 goals in 440 games, winning 11 league titles, 5 domestic cups, that aforementioned European Cup, and the Ballon d'Or in 1965, becoming the first black player to win the award in the process. Between 1962 and 1973, he never scored fewer than 26 goals in all competitions in a single season, with his best goal-scoring campaign coming in 1967-68 when he struck 50 goals. At international level, his most famous exploits came at the 1966 World Cup, when he scored 9 goals to win the Golden Boot, taking Portugal to the semi-finals, where they lost to hosts England. In total, he would score 41 goals in 64 games for them. He left Benfica in 1975 and played for a host of different clubs, including Monterrey, Beira-Mar, Toronto Blizzard, and Boston Minutemen, hanging up his boots in 1979. He then became a part of the technical committee for the Portuguese national team, but in January 2014, he died of heart failure aged 71, and his remains are now in the national pantheon, making him the first and I believe the only footballer to be buried there. Just as a by the way, Sporting had won 10 league titles prior to Eusébio's arrival at Benfica, the same tally as their rivals. In the 62 years since, they have won just 8, 3 fewer than what Eusébio managed on his own. What could have been? Number 2. Samuel Eto'o. One of the greatest strikers of his generation, and possibly the greatest player with an apostrophe in his name, Samuel Eto'o was a complete forward, able to hold up play, score with either foot, and run in behind defences with his blistering pace, attributes which made him a nightmare to defend against when he was at full flight. Born in 1981, he joined Real Madrid from the Cádiz Sports Academy in 1997 and was put straight into their B team, but upon their relegation to the Segunda División B in 1998, where non-EU players weren't allowed, he was loaned out to Leganés, Espanyol and Mallorca. The latter spell proved to be successful enough for Mallorca to splash out a club record £6.4 million to secure his services, where he would spend the next 4 years as a reliable goalscorer, if not a truly special one just yet. Following 22 goals in 2003-04 though, Real and Barcelona fought to secure his signature, but it would be the Catalans who got the deal over the line for €24 million. and it proved to be a masterstroke. Eto'o led the line brilliantly as Barca returned to the top of the domestic and European game, and he won 3 La Liga titles and 2 Champions Leagues in just 5 years, as well as a Pichichi Award in 2005-06, basically La Liga's top goal scorer, and bronze in FIFA World Player of the Year voting in 2005. His best season came in 2008-09 under Pep Guardiola, where he formed a deadly trident alongside Lionel Messi and Thierry Henry, scoring 36 in 52 games in all competitions, including 30 in the league, as Barca won a treble. However, Guardiola surprisingly wants to replace him with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, facilitating a shock swap deal involving Eto'o and £40 million to bring the Swede to Catalonia and send the 118-capped Cameroonian to Inter. It proved to be a bit of a mistake, as while Zlatan was slowly phased out by Pep, Eto'o was integral in Inter's treble success in 2009-10, making him the first player to win back-to-back continental trebles with 2 different clubs. Following 37 goals in 53 games in 2010-11, Nouveau Riche Andy Makachkala made him the highest paid player in the world, with Eto'o earning a reported €20 million per year after tax, although he actually scored fewer goals for Angie than he did in his final season at Inter. After Angie's owner drastically reduced funding in 2012, Eto'o was allowed to leave for Chelsea, where his most iconic moment was celebrating a goal against Spurs by pretending to be an old man, after comments from his manager Jose Mourinho which implied that Eto'o was too old. Spells at Everton, Sampdoria, Antalyaspor, Konyaspor and Qatar Sports Club followed before he finally announced his retirement in 2019, and in December 2021 he was elected as president of the Cameroonian Football Federation, a role which he maintains to this day. Number 3. Luis Enrique. We've had a trend over the last few episodes in this series of including someone who is a great player and manager, and Luis Enrique falls right into that bracket. Born in 1970, he started out at Sporting Gijón, where he scored 14 goals in his first season in the first team in 1990-91, convincing Real Madrid to sign him. He was frequently deployed in midfield for Los Blancos, so his goal-scoring numbers dropped drastically, but he was extremely versatile, capable of playing basically anywhere on the pitch, hard-working, and a true team player, leading to him becoming a regular in Madrid and making 213 appearances. However, he never felt truly loved by their fans and stunningly moved to Barcelona on a free in 1996, and whilst the Catalans were sceptical at first given his Real Madrid background, they soon took him to their hearts, especially following 53 goals in his first 3 seasons at the Camp Nou. Injuries began to take their toll on him as he entered his 30s, and after refusing to renew his contract at Barcelona, basically implying that he wasn't good enough anymore, he retired in 2004, aged 34. After 4 years away from the game, Enrique got his first management gig with Barca's B team in 2008, succeeding none other than Pep Guardiola. He got them promoted to the Segunda División and reached the playoffs with them in his final season, although they were of course ineligible for promotion anyway before moving to Roma in 2011. But he struggled in Italy, being knocked out of Europe early and slumping to a 7th place finish, leading to the Spaniard stepping down from his role after just a year. A year later, he took charge of Celta Vigo, guiding them to 9th place, before he finally got what seemed to be his dream job as Barcelona's new first-team manager. Despite a bumpy start and rumours he would be sacked, he forged the now iconic MSN trident of Messi, Suarez and Neymar and led them to a continental treble in his first season. He won a double in 2015-16 of League and Cup, but the stress and mental toll of being Barca manager became too much, and he announced he would step down at the end of the 2016-17 season, in which they only won the Cup, but did also overcome a 4-0 deficit against PSG in the Champions League. After another year out, he became Spain's national team boss following the 2018 World Cup, although he did briefly step away from the role after his 9-year-old daughter Jana tragically died of bone cancer in August 2019. Following his return, he took Spain to the semi-finals of Euro 2020, losing on penalties to Italy, but in Qatar, despite a 7-0 annihilation of Costa Rica, Spain floundered in the following 3 games as Enrique's strict adherence to a passing game proved to be costly. A loss on penalties to Morocco in the round of 16 led to him leaving the national team by mutual consent, and just a couple of weeks ago, he was announced as PSG's new manager, succeeding the disgraced Christophe Galtier. Number 4. Duncan Edwards. Duncan Edwards may forever hold the unwanted title of being the greatest player who never was, given how undeniably talented he was, how much he achieved in his short career, and yet how young he was when his life was tragically taken away from him. Born in 1936, Edwards was a talented footballer and Morris dancer, and he was actually scheduled to compete in the National Morrison Sword Dancing Festival on the same day as his trial with the English School Federation's under-14 team, but he chose to pursue football instead. It proved to be a wise move, as Man United scouts were there to report back to manager Matt Busby that he was a special talent whom they had to keep an eye on. And sure enough, Edwards joined United youth ranks at 16. 6 months on, he made his First Division debut, becoming the youngest player to play in the First Division in its entire history, and he was one of the so-called Busby Babes, a selection of young talents that Busby wanted to embed into the first team, including Dennis Violet, Tommy Taylor, and Roger Byrne. But Edwards was by far and away the standout of the collection. Primarily playing in what we would now call defensive midfield, Edwards was extremely versatile and authoritative, frequently dictating games with his footballing IQ, range of passing, two-footedness, and ability to fill in just about any position on the pitch. Bobby Charlton said that Edwards was the only player who made him feel inferior, and future United manager Tommy Docherty said that he would have become the best player of all time, ahead of Pelé and Maradona. He had become an instrumental player in United's side from the age of 17, making 177 appearances for the Red Devils and winning 2 First Division titles in 1956 and 1957, as well as playing 18 times for England. But then, Munich happened. On the 6th of February 1958, returning home from a European Cup tie against Red Star Belgrade, the plane carrying the Man United players crashed on takeoff from a snowy runway. 7 players and 22 people on board died instantly, and Edwards was rushed to hospital with leg fractures and damaged kidneys. Doctors were confident he would recover, albeit he was unlikely to play again, but just a day after the crash, he famously asked assistant manager Jimmy Murphy what time the game against Wolves was, as he didn't want to miss it. However, he was fitted with an artificial kidney that prevented his blood from clotting and ultimately led to his condition worsening, and on the 21st of February, 15 days after the crash, Edwards died at the age of 21, becoming the 23rd person to lose their life in the incident. Terry Venables would later say that it would have been Edwards and not Bobby Moore who would have lifted the 1966 World Cup for England, and the football world was robbed of someone who would have been an all-time great before he had even turned 22. Number 5. Christian Eriksen. Our final player in this video is another one who had a brush with death, but mercifully, Christian Eriksen not only managed to survive it, but also return to the highest level within the space of a year. Born in 1992, he was spotted by Danish giants OB in 2005 and brought to their academy, where he spent 3 years before moving to Ajax's youth ranks in 2008. He made his debut for the Amsterdam club against NEC Breda in January 2010 and didn't look back, becoming a first-team regular and earning a call-up to the Denmark squad for the 2010 World Cup, becoming the youngest player at the tournament in the process, where he played in their group games against the Netherlands and Japan. From 2010 to 2013, he was one of Ajax's most pivotal players, making 46 league assists and scoring 23 goals as they won a hat-trick of league crowns, and it soon became clear that he was ready for the step up to the big leagues. It came in 2013 when Spurs bought Eriksen with the money they had received for Gareth Bale's transfer to Real Madrid, and he was the only one of the number of players they signed that summer who was a bona fide success. A silky and stylish attacking midfielder, Eriksen's main strengths are his range of passing and vision and ability to dictate the tempo of the game, although he possesses incredible stamina and a cannon of a right foot when striking from range, leading to a number of spectacular goals down the years. Across 6.5 years in North London, he made 159 goal contributions in 305 games, contributing immensely to Spurs' successes under Mauricio Pochettino, although he wouldn't win a single trophy, reaching a League Cup final in 2015 and a Champions League final in 2019, and coming second in the Premier League in 2016-17. Perhaps realising that Spurs had gone as far as they could, he dug in his heels and demanded a move away, which he got in January 2020 when he joined Inter Milan. However, he never really established himself in Serie A, no doubt not helped by the onset of COVID-19 just 2 months after his arrival, and he played the full 90 minutes on just 4 occasions in the league for them, although he did win the Serie A title in 2020-21. The following summer though, tragedy struck, as midway through Denmark's opening game at Euro 2020 against Finland, Eriksen collapsed on the pitch, having suffered a cardiac arrest. He was effectively dead for a few minutes, but was brought around by the Danish medical team, aided by his teammate Simon Kjær, who had prevented Eriksen from swallowing his tongue, and within an hour, he was awake and responsive in hospital. He was later fitted with a defibrillator device to monitor his heart, but after some time away, he made a stunning return to football in January 2022 when he signed for Brentford on a free, the only club willing to give him a chance. There, he helped the Beast secure Premier League survival with some impressive performances, and he got his dream move to Man United in the summer, where he once again flourished alongside Casemiro in the centre of the park. I honestly would go so far as to argue that this might well be the greatest comeback in the history of football, and aged 31, he still has a good good few years left in him as he adapts his game as he gets older under Erik ten Hag. And that just about wraps up today's video, looking at 5 of the greatest players whose names or surnames begin with the letter E. If you enjoyed this, of course, please don't forget to check out all the other Football Alphabet videos using the playlist link on screen or in the description down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And also don't forget you can ring the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a video straight away. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.